I just want to give you guys my pitch or idea for a remake of John Carpenter's Halloween. And when I say that, that's exactly what I mean. Remaking his Halloween, not that Rob Zombie trash. Anyway, the movie would basically be like the novel. So it would explore more about the life and myth of Michael Myers. Judith Myers would have a big role in this movie. It would start out with Michael's grandma. So she's telling them stories about Samhain and the festival of Samhain and things like that. And Michael's mom doesn't really like it because she feels like it would affect them in a negative way. And let me say this, you just never know how your child is going to turn out. You never know who they're going to grow up to be. Who would have thought that this little 6-year-old kid would grow up to be a serial killer? This same 6-year-old kid that you stared at in John Carpenter's Halloween would grow up to kill his own niece. He would grow up to try to kill his own nephew. You just never know. That's what makes this franchise so interesting. Judith's boyfriend Danny would come over and they would have sex. Michael Myers comes home. Of course, he's pissed about it, and his voice tells him, "You know what you have to do." So he waits for Danny to go home, and he kills Judith. And he goes downstairs and he acts like nothing happened. Just like in the novel. Well, they really don't want to put any blame on him, you know what I mean? Because he's 6 years old. And they're like, oh, well, this 6-year-old kid couldn't have possibly done this. And they're basically saying to him, listen, Mike, we know that there's no way you killed your sister. So tell us, did the boyfriend do it? Did they have a bad breakup? Did they have a fight that possibly led to the murder? And they bring the boyfriend in, and they do this long, drawn-out trial, if you will, seeing what really happened that night. And the only one that really knows what happened that night is the audience and Michael Myers. Now, we can't tell the judge what happened because we don't exist in that world. We're the audience. And Michael Myers, obviously, you know, he's not gonna say anything. And they even ask him, well, what happened between you and your sister? And the thing is, he tells them what happened. He doesn't lie about it. But he's so cute that they don't want to believe that he could do something like that. He says, I did it. He admits he did it. But they don't want to believe that he did it. But then again, I don't know how that's possible. That's the way it goes in the novel. But it says that he stopped talking after 1963. So, who's to say that he didn't say this when he first went to the police station? So I guess I could just put it like that. He goes to the police station and they ask him what happened. He tells them he did it. But they don't want to believe he did it. So the police officer basically says, alright, you know, this is bullshit. This kid's lying. Let's get the boyfriend in here. Did the boyfriend tell you to say this? They are really throwing the book at Judith's boyfriend. They're doing that whole good cop, bad cop thing. They're cursing at him. And they're like, you did it, didn't you? You fucking killed her. And they would be like yelling and screaming. This movie would be one big epic movie. And they're yelling and screaming at this kid, saying, you know, you killed your girlfriend. Was it about sex? Was it a sex crime? A sexual murder or something like that? And he denies it. And he says, no, I didn't do it. Maybe the kid did do it. But they don't want to believe that Michael did it. He's in there in the asylum. And the kids, they keep fucking with him because that's how kids are. When you have a stigma or some kind of tragedy, when you're linked to something tragic, kids fuck with you about that. Excuse my language, but that's what they do. They constantly fuck with you. They're like, hey, you're the dude that killed this sister and stuff like that. And they keep fucking with Michael Myers, you know? And he gets pissed off and he poisons one of the kids' food. You know, he puts some kind of poison in there. You guys can imagine whatever kind of poison you want it to be. Use your imagination, but he uses something, I don't know, maybe it's rat poison, maybe it's arsenic, I don't know, because some stupid fan is going to be like, well, what kind of poison is it? It can be whatever kind of poison you want it to be. But anyway, he poisons the kid's food, and the kid gets sick, doesn't die, he just gets sick. He doesn't put enough in there to kill him, just enough to make him sick. Michael Myers would be a freaking genius in this movie. Essentially, what happens is this. They spend a lot of the movie trying to figure out what happened. What really happened in that house. They go and investigate the house, looking for any kind of clues. Now, back in 1963, they didn't have the whole DNA thing, so obviously they wouldn't do that. But they do, however, have the whole fingerprint thing going on. So what they would do is this. They would go looking for fingerprints, looking for things that shouldn't be there. I mean, they even go as far as to say that maybe an intruder could have done this. Could have committed the murder. And they spend all this time trying to figure out what made Michael Myers do this, if he did do it. Now the judge dies, just like in the book, he dies. So Michael Myers doesn't get to be released because he died before Michael Myers could be released. So Michael has to stay there. A long story short, these kids keep having mysterious accidents. One guy falls down the stairs and breaks his leg. Nobody knows how it happened. And he won't tell. Because Michael Myers basically let him know, if you tell what happened, I will come back and I will kill you. Now, he doesn't talk to him, but he gives him that look. You guys know the look when people threaten you. You know, if you tell what I did, I will kill you. That's essentially what happens in this movie. They're afraid of Michael Myers. Everybody in the asylum. They don't want to tell that he's the one that's been doing these things to people. He's the one that's been poisoning people. He's the one that's been pushing people downstairs and things like that. There can even be an incident where there's a mysterious fire. Nobody knows who set the fire, and even if they did know, they're not telling, because he'll just come back and kill them. He might come back and finish the job. That's what the plot of this movie would be. Michael Myers is a freaking nutcase. And to make a long story short, they never do solve the murder of Judith Myers. They can't pin it on Michael Myers because he was only 6. So they can't really try him as a little kid. They have to wait and try him as an adult. But then by the time they do that, in 1978, he escapes. So they can't try him as an adult. And when he escapes, the movie would end. And it would say on the screen that Michael escaped the asylum. He killed his sister's friends. And over the years, he would go on to commit several murders. You know, that's referencing the other movies, from 1 to Resurrection. and the movie would go off. The murder was never solved. You see, they know he did it. We know he did it, but they could never prove anything. And that's the way the movie would go. Michael Myers in the asylum doing terrible shit to people. And that's the plot of this movie. And to me, that is the only thing that could save the franchise. That's it. Nothing else will save this franchise. If you're not going to do part 9, at least do this. This would save it. What do you guys think about my pitch for a remake of John Carpenter's Halloween? Emphasize John Carpenter's Halloween. Not that Rob Zombie crap. This would be a remake of his movie, only it would explore the mythology a little bit more. Not necessarily talking about Thorn. They could mention Thorn really quickly, but not really dwell on it too much. They could just mention it as part of the movie's prologue. That's all I gotta say about my Halloween pitch. What do you guys think about it? Let me know down in the comment section. Should Michael Myers have been tried as a kid? Well, in my movie, he wasn't. He was too young. They couldn't really pin the murder on him, even though they think he did it. It was never really solved. So this is a movie that really has no ending. And that's the way I think Halloween should be. He should get away with it. And that's it. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. John Carpenter's Halloween, the remake. This would have the real Michael Myers in it, not that white trash that Rob Zombie had in his movie. That's not Michael Myers. I approve this message. Halloween. Let me know what you think. I think this would save the franchise. Let me hear from you. Peace.